Hey guys, welcome to the Plan C podcast. This is me, Cameron, Stoic Lotus, here with my co-host,
Colin, at Colin Hamilton on Instagram. Welcome. It is a lovely, very cold, very windy Friday. My internet's down. Everything is going wrong.
Everything is fucked.
Yeah.
But it's amazing at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. We're still here bringing you content because we love and appreciate you guys, and we're not getting paid to do anything else right now.
Facts.
Unless you have a commission.
Well, I got paid for that, so.
There you go. All right.
Yeah, so today we are going to be talking about why it's hard to be successful. It's a bit of a little short pod. We'll probably might do another one later. See how it turns out if we can do a part 2. Think this is something.
We probably won't stack it like we did Respect Part 2.
Oh no, we'll probably do something in between.
Yeah.
Give you guys something to chew on for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So follow us on Instagram,
Twitter,
Patreon. You know, at plan_.
Give us
C
money. Me
_podcast for Instagram. Twitter, Plan C Podcast, and everything else is Plan C Podcast.
Not Podquest.
Podcast.
Shout out to everyone who has been following the pod on Instagram, liking our posts and such. We're glad you like our cat photos, and that's a spicy podcast. We like making that kind of content for you guys. I think that's all we're gonna talk about today.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, short pod.
Yeah,
fun stuff.
Quick shout out to oh man, what do I want to shout out right now? Quick shout out to the Brooklyn Nets. Not for any reason in particular. What's up, guys? What's up, KD? I'm trying to buy your shoes tonight. We'll see what happens.
I'm gonna shout out YouTuber / Twitch streamer named Healthy Gamer GG. Has helped me a lot in terms of mental stuff and kind of help inform this podcast. So
there we go.
Shout out to him.
All
if
right.
you have a gaming addiction or something like that, or
we know
achieve a goal,
people.
You know, we know a few people. Check them out.
Check them out. All right, and here we go. All right, guys, so today we are talking about success, getting blocked with success, getting blocked in the things, you want to do, getting distracted in terms of, your goals, blah, blah, blah.
And just why change is just really freaking hard for people in general.
Yeah, especially for, like, a certain archetype of people. I feel like people who are very set in their ways are very comfortable and don't challenge themselves definitely have a hard time establishing new trends and kind of new habits that can help change their life.
Oh, that's for sure. And also, like, I wouldn't say it's like I would say most people have just, like, the issue of a lot of people have very grand goals, and a lot of people like to talk and, about these, like, plans that they have.
They
and
like
all
to talk that shit.
I mean, we all do because it feels good. That's what feels good. But actually, like, following through and setting a plan and doing things is hard. And then
yes, it is.
Most people don't, which is why a lot of people aren't successful.
That's correct.
So, yeah, that's kind of what we're going for.
Yeah.
So, one thing I kind of wanted to start with saying is that something I think a lot of people don't acknowledge is that change is hard by design.
Yep.
Like, change
it's hard to get out of your box.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's always going to be uncomfortable.
Challenging yourself is called challenging yourself because it's challenging.
Yeah, it's challenging, and I think that a lot of people these days, with all, like, the technology we have and everything, it's really easy to have habits that make you comfortable and distract you from doing things that you want to do. Whether that be social media, video games, TV, staring into space.
Like what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. Smoking.
Whatever,
gossiping, the vibes.
I will preface this podcast by saying I'm an idiot. I'm not an idiot. but I am. And last night I didn't fall asleep until probably close to 11 a.m. Okay, so I first of all want to apologize to my mother and my girlfriend and anyone else who's listening. Because I'm not quite dead, but like there's definitely something missing today. To be honest with you guys, I stayed up all night playing this crazy ass game called Persona 5.
Amazing game.
Which is essentially the heroin equivalent of video games. And you just get lost. And then you look at the time and it's like, oh, it's 7. And then you look at the time and you're like, oh my god, it's 9:30. And then you just like kind of like, and then you're like, okay, wait, I need a break. So you like, I'm walking around a little bit and I'm like, oh my god, like, I'm like almost delirious.
But then you just feel the pull.
I don't remember exactly what made me get into bed, but I was like, okay, like, I want to sleep now. Okay, anyway, that I just wanted to tell you guys that, you know, I'm this is like my flu game right now. You know Michael Jordan's flu game?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like my flu game right now.
But that's actually a very good like
yeah, we
within this conversation.
I could have dubbed this podcast today. I could have said, "No, sirree, I'm on 1 hour of sleep or 2 hours. I depends when I actually woke up." And you know, we're gonna put this out for you.
Yeah, but I think that actually ties really
sorry,
well.
I totally cut you out.
into the topic. That's fine. But in terms of, well, this might not be for you because Persona's an amazing game. But but like things we do that in the moment where we can decide to either work or not work or
do the thing
that you want to do, whatever it is, whoever you are, and you decide to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a habit or a comfort habit, being that video games, TV, etc. And I think a lot of people need to, including myself, that I've been working on it, but need to recognize the moment that you activate that comfort thing. Like, do you have any examples where this has happened to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Senior year of high school. Well, I guess it doesn't. That's not a good example. I was just gonna say, rather, because I had good grades, so me cutting class like for not the entire second semester, but like I really wrote it in. I just really just wrote that shit in. And you know, I still got the chemistry award, still got the fitness award, so I was pretty happy about that. Let me stop patting myself on the back. Yeah, so there are times where, you know, I find that in my like relationships and hanging out with friends or hanging out with a significant other, like if it's fucking cold and it's like already night and like I'm like, oh man, do I really want to go into Manhattan or do I really want to go into Brooklyn at this part of the night? And then I end up playing a video game or like watching something. I'm gonna expose myself for a patented move I've used on people for a while where I don't respond for a little bit and then I'm like, oh my god, like it's 9 p.m. completely lost track of time. I was like talking to my mom. I'm so sorry, guys. Like, oh shit. It's too late. And meanwhile, I've like put in 2 hours of some video game, and you know, there comes a certain point where oh, that was a helicopter. There comes a certain point where you know you're not going to do that thing anymore.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Where you've resigned.
Where you like you kind of look at the clock and you're like, yeah, I could still leave right now, and I'd still be on time.
Yeah,
but then you're like, I'm good.
What about situations where you know it's a Friday, you might not have class, and you're like, okay, well I could work, and then at that moment, there's like something you're like, oh, but I could play 30 minutes of whatever, or I could watch.
No, that's
30 minutes
I've 1,000,000,000% done that before. Where I've had, you know, just I could be working on my resume, or like You know. Oh, I did it this year with Christmas shopping. Black Friday, I was like, "Yep, gonna do it." Awesome, because I'm usually I usually get my Christmas shopping done. I try and get my Christmas shopping done by my dad's birthday, which is December 4th. What's up, all my Sagittarius out there? I think that's a Sagittarius, right?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know either. If somebody knows, just tell us. And this year, kind of blew it off just to smoke weed and chill because it was after Thanksgiving. I think I did. Yeah, I had a good Thanksgiving this year because I had fucking 2 Thanksgivings.
That's
Yeah.
the best type of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, no,
Double food.
yeah, for real. I kind of call that the point of no return. What we were saying, where it's kind of like, oh shit, like wow, I could still do this.
But I really don't want to.
I know.
Like right now, I don't want to.
I think I've done it a couple times with work too, where I've left it the day before I felt like really shitty at work, physically, and then I'll kind of like tell them that I feel shitty so I can leave the option open to call out of work at like 9 when I have to be in there at 12, so it doesn't screw them too bad because you know they kind of already know.
Yeah.
And I am still sick, but at the same time, it's like you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm so warm in bed. I'm definitely not going to work.
Yeah. But
I'm
think,
not leaving my comfy cocoon.
I think like one of the things that's just like fucked up about humans is that I've always found the moment where you decide that you're not going to do it, like when you have that realization,
The decision point.
you feel amazing.
For a second.
For 1 second.
For 1 second,
when-
you're like, yeah.
Like you feel amazing.
Avoiding responsibilities. Fuck yeah.
Procrastination. Yeah. And the thing is, whatever you do after that actually won't feel as good as the
No,
anticipation
not
that
at
you just
all.
felt
Yeah.
from doing it. But everyone has that reaction when they're avoiding responsibilities. And I think that just speaks to doing things that actually help benefit your life are difficult.
Yes.
And they're hard and they make you uncomfortable. And I think an unfortunate thing is that people would rather be comfortable than have long-term benefits in life in most case scenarios.
Well, I personally, I kind of view, I try and mix the two if possible. Like I try and be relaxed because personally being relaxed, like when I'm relaxed, like my brain just flows better. Unless my brain has been addled by substances. But you know, when I'm relaxed and chilling, I'm good. I can piece through stuff. I can be relaxed in chaos and like it's all good. But I also, you know, I don't want this to necessarily convict me of being lazy, but I don't know, I prefer relaxing to like going out and shit.
Well, oh yeah, that's just like socially, I think. You might be able to be like that, but or is that like further?
No, I think it goes a little further because personally, I'm definitely a homebody. I think we both are.
Yeah, for sure.
We hang out here a lot, but that's just because you guys didn't see what I did, but don't worry, that's for us. Personally, it's just like I want to be able to relax and yet still get shit done. So if
Yeah.
I find the appropriate pockets to either relax or either like bust my ass, I find I strike a good balance.
I feel you, but one thing
Doing work right now on a Friday when I'm kind of delirious. I think I'm high because of my lack of sleep. I haven't eaten anything today, so I'm like, again, I told you, this is my flu game, dude.
I got you, man. But I think one thing to like, for example, we're working, but we all know that obviously making podcasts are fun, whatever. And also after
It's relatively easy.
it's not too hard. And after you finish a podcast, the rest of your day is great. You know?
Yeah, because you're like, wow, I did a thing today.
But that for me specifically, I find that it's hard if the activity is hard or there's also not a set goal. Like, for example, if I'm like, I'm going to practice working on painting to
What?
get better at using colors.
That's why being an artist, like, you need to be motivated, because if you're not doing work, I'm sure that sucks.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna get to it.
Get to it.
I'm gonna get to it, right?
Get there.
So in the moments where
Take us there.
like, I have, and I think this is actually like, this will extend past art, but in the moments where you're like, okay, I'm gonna practice this, or I'm gonna, even more seriously, if you're like, I'm gonna make this art piece, but a lot of people who are artists don't necessarily have a message that they necessarily want to send with their art, or a unique message that they want to send with their art. Maybe they haven't done the research, maybe they just haven't thought about it for whatever reason. In those moments, I find it extremely hard to fight for that long-term feeling of dopamine, or whatever you want to call it. Dopamine is kind of like, I guess, like a less compassionate way of saying it, but yeah, I just don't think that when you have nebulous goals like that, I think it's very hard to actually follow through. It makes it a lot harder. Like, if I'm like, I'm going to make this art piece for this specific gallery, and I'm sure a lot of people, maybe you're a student of some sort, where you're like, I'm going to do this essay for this class, and at the moment, doing stuff for assignments is easy because the assignment is what gives you that goal that you can kind of hang on to, and it's easy because it's set for you, versus I'm going to practice at this to get as good at whatever,
Yeah.
I want to be as good at music, or I want to be a good,
Smash player.
I want to be an employee to whatever company, or, whatever business, that type of thing. It's so nebulous, and you can only see hardships in front of you, and it naturally discourages you.
Yeah.
For me, it just makes it so, like...
Well, it's daunting.
Yeah, you're like, I don't even know where
word.
to... Yeah, it's a great word. I don't know where to start, and also, I don't know when this will pay off. So in that moment, that short-term feeling of dopamine that you get from being like, oh, I'll do this 10 minutes later, oh, I'll do this 30 minutes later, becomes worth it. So...
Wait, repeat that?
The moment, like, if I'm facing a daunting challenge that I don't know the end of, and I don't know when I'll get the reward,
Yeah.
the short-term reward of procrastinating feels more valuable at the time.
Oh, at the time. Yeah. Yeah, because you don't have a path.
Yeah, and you're just more... I find myself more likely to choose that over the long-term goal. And I think what that shows is a lot of the goals, and this is something that I think has to also do with our education, but we're not really taught how to set goals in ways that makes them achievable.
Well, I don't think school does a great job with thinking us to problem solve and think critically.
Yeah.
I think school is very rewarding to just straight memorization.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, also just in terms of, like, culturally, I would say that we're taught to dream. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're taught to have, like, dreams. You talk with your friends, you talk about all the things you want to do, and that feels good. It always feels good. You're like, oh, I'm going to do this and that. It's going to be great. I have this idea for that. And we all have those moments where we're talking about how great everything's going to be. And we've all done it. Let's not lie. And every time we do it, it feels good. But that entire time, you're not accomplishing anything.
Yeah.
And that's an unfortunate truth. And then when you get home and you spend all that time talking about what you're going to do you get home and do it? Of course not.
No.
Of course not. Because doing it is hard.
It is. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, but doing it's hard, and we're not taught to plan out how to get there. We're only taught how to dream about what it's like when we are there.
Well, I also find that people just have such bad coping mechanisms that when they want to do something and they're challenged, like they don't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah, they shut down.
Exactly.
Or
I
they,
mean, we know people like that.
yeah, or they do the same thing where they're like, oh, I'm gonna watch TV, or
I'm just gonna play video games all day.
for some mysterious reason in this exact moment of
Are
when
you
I
gonna
have
do
the
it?
ability to do something.
Oh, I thought you were gonna put somebody on blast.
No, it was not. But
I
I'm
thought
gonna.
you were gonna mention the S word.
I was about to.
You were.
I was. I hadn't
Yeah.
even thought about it. But in this inexplicable moment where I could be doing something, I'm gonna play whatever game. Like.
On Nintendo Switch.
And the thing is,
Out for many platforms.
yeah, no subs.
You know who you are.
Subs.
If you are listening.
Much subs.
Yeah.
But
we love you.
yeah, we love you, bro. But in that moment, I think we need to be. This is for people on the pod. If this ever happens to you, unless you're one of those people that are just always fucking motivated. In that case, fuck you. You're lucky, or not lucky, but
yeah, Madeline.
good for you.
Yeah,
shout outs to
Madeline.
you. But
She was. I told you this already, but to the listeners of the Plan C, our seers, if you will, my sister was on. My sister, so 3 years older than me, but like the type of person who's like, work, why aren't I working? Work, why aren't I working?
Yeah.
Oh, let's relax for 5 seconds. Oh wait, I got an email from work. Like literally on Good Morning America in LA this morning. I don't know if she spoke or anything, but she told me she was on it. It's just like, fuck,
Yep.
here I am just recording a fucking pod in my mom's basement. Great.
I know, but some people are just built that way.
Yeah,
Like some people just have
seriously.
high neuroticism, high conscientiousness, and that's just
You
how
know
they're
what?
built.
It'd be so cool to have something like that.
I mean, I find that
You're like that with art.
yeah, like if I'm
You're like, oh, want to hang out, smoke weed, and play Persona? No, I'm painting. Oh, sorry.
yeah, because I just feel uncomfortable
Not.
long term. Like
Yeah.
sure, it feels good short term when I do something else, but I always notice long term it makes me feel like shit
No, that's
if I haven't done something.
I am currently trying to find a second job in the sports industry. If you know anyone, hey, I'm really just great with people. I'm very charismatic, and I'm a very good problem solver, as well as just I pick things up really easy on the fly. So if you know anyone, drop my name.
Hire my bro.
Exactly. So if I even if I've applied to a bunch of jobs as of late, like if I don't at least look at listings for part of if I go a day without looking at listings, I'm like,
Yeah. You're
I
like,
feel itchy.
what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? Like the
I mean, I constantly have no.
yeah, but I mean because the thing is when you do things that comfort you, you're essentially blocking out the negative thoughts.
No, that's ignorant. No.
But yeah, it's like you're
Sorry.
pushing things to the side. You're pushing out the negative thoughts because when you sit with yourself and not doing anything, it all comes back, and then you're like that makes you uncomfortable. So you do something that makes you comfortable, and essentially people are always basically aiming for feeling the most comfortable, the longest you can possibly do it.
Yeah.
That's essentially what happiness is, unfortunately. But that's what it is.
Well, happiness is just like calm meets dopamine meets I don't know.
To me, that's comfort.
Well, because there are people who thrive on chaos, and chaos isn't all the time comfortable.
But you can be comfortable in chaos.
That's true. I did say I was relaxed in chaos because I am. But
Yeah, it's routine.
comfortable versus happiness, that's.
It's
So I think there's definitely a difference
there's definitely a difference.
And there's and I think we should pencil this in for a pod coming up because comfort versus
No, I'm gonna
being
get into.
happy,
I'm
yeah.
gonna explain it. But when because you can be comfortable and not be happy, but people search for comfort, and this can be naturally search for comfort, and this
Yeah.
could be either
well,
through.
I think everyone kind of does.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it doesn't always have to be. It's not always healthy.
Oh, fuck no.
But
If you're finding comfort in fucking heroin, that's not a good thing.
yeah, But because finding comfort can also mean things like, for example, people in abusive relationships, in repeated abusive relationships.
My therapist told me some crazy ass shit that was like,
Let me finish that.
yeah, go do it.
But people in abusive relationships, and people wonder why am I
Why
looking?
do I feel so shitty?
Well, why am I looking? Why do I keep finding people that are like this?
A judgment of character.
Yeah, but I mean, it really comes down to the routine and the comfort. Like you expect, you know what to expect from these people.
Yeah.
And that in itself is comfort. You know what's going to happen. This is the zone that you're comfortable in. And in that sense, even though you know finding someone better that will treat you well is the better option, the change itself, which is uncomfortable, makes you go back to those people.
Well, people are also willing to sacrifice their own health to just not be alone.
Well, but
Like-
I'm talking about, this is like people that are in an abusive relationship. There can be people that can choose thousands of people, even people that are super attractive, high-paying jobs, whatever it is.
I see what you're
I
saying.
know, and they still come back to those types of relationships.
I know, and what I am saying is that, like, essentially misery loves company.
That's for sure.
That's kind of what I was gonna sort of get around to, and just people. Well, I personally was in a relationship where I was really unhappy, and I think we were both really unhappy, and it was just like the thought process was like, oh, this will get better? Question mark. Like we're fighting all the time. Like we kind of hate each other deep down, but just at least we have each other. Like it's nice sometimes when we snuggle.
Yeah, but I'm saying when you're together, there's a sense of comfort.
Yeah.
Even though things are bad, there's this sense of like, this makes me comfortable. I'm okay here, despite that you're not actually okay.
Serotonin plus experience equals love.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people,
Maybe a little dopamine sprinkled in
a
too.
lot of dopamine, but I feel like a lot of people, including myself, will take comfort over hardship, despite knowing hardship is the way to go, and we're not taught how to be comfortable being in uncomfortable situations. You know what I mean? Because all change that's good is going to happen by being uncomfortable. That's just how it works. Like the biggest changes in your life are going to be from situations where you don't feel good, the change is hard, learning is hard, whatever goals, they're nebulous, they're hard. But one thing I kind of wanted to impart on the Sears, I like that.
The Sears?
The Sears?
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah.
I kind of like, the Sears.
Yeah,
but,
like double entendre a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
But is for planning, make sure that your goals are not nebulous. Make sure they're not nebulous.
Path.
Make sure that your goals are not based on desires. And they're based on values.
Well, that's a little tough because people want what they want rather than want what's best.
No, well, let me get into this. All right.
Yeah.
So,
please.
when I say make sure your goals aren't nebulous, I'm talking about if your goal is to lose weight. What does that mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything.
It's much better to say, okay, I'm going to go for a run twice a week.
Exactly.
Rather than just say, oh, I want to lose weight.
So that would be my first point of advice for anyone that's dealing with this.
Or schedule your bypass
which
surgery.
I've noticed is you're like, oh, okay, well, I want to lose weight. It was like, okay, so how are you going to do it?
Yeah.
Like something might be, maybe you put good, like healthy food around your house, so you eat that first. And you do that. That's a short-term goal that you can do in the moment. You know what I mean? Not something that you can do 30 minutes later, because as soon as things are 30 minutes later, you can't change that. You have no impact on that, and you forget it. It has to be something that you can do at the moment, and you schedule it and you make sure you do it. And if you don't make sure you do it, at the moment where you choose not to do it, the moment where you're like, oh, I'm going home and I could eat a healthy meal, or I could go to Burger King,
And you
at
get
that
Burger
moment
King.
and you get Burger King,
Kill yourself.
no, but think about what situation you're in that moment. Like, okay, like did I not eat today? And now I'm hungry and now I want Burger King, and Burger King's easier than eating healthy food, so I eat Burger King. Or, maybe I'm uncomfortable and I'm not good at cooking. So at that moment where I'm like, do I want to cook? No, I'd rather get Burger King. People need to find those reasons so
To
you're
not get Burger King.
so no, but you need to be conscious of it. You need to be conscious of the moment where you're deciding to do something that's not healthy or stopping you from achieving your goals.
So this is just kind of a bit of a turn, but I have found that I definitely haven't mastered it, but I have had a much better handle on my anger because of that. Because, like, when I'm angry, it's not just like, anymore. It's like, okay, wait, chill. Why are you angry? What just happened? Do you need to eat? Do you need blood sugar? Are you dehydrated?
Yeah.
Those are these questions pass through my mind before I say anything. I mean, I might be sulking, or not sulking, but like I'll throw a mug on.
Yeah. But it's important to find your triggers.
Absolutely. Whatever they may be.
Yeah. Find your triggers and then attach a negative connotation to doing the thing that you know is bad. But the thing I said after that was, I said nebulous goals, don't focus on desires. One thing I've noticed
Go
is
for
that
values.
Oh yeah, don't focus desires over values. Is that when you are desiring something, like something based off your five senses, shout out to Dharma. That's basically what this is. But anything that's like
Dharma's pretty cool.
Yeah. Anything that's
Do you
like
want to real quick explain Dharma?
I'm kind of explaining it right now. You'll get the gist. But I don't always like to say things like Dharma or something like that, because some people are like, oh, it's mumbo, it's that mystical mumbo jumbo. Like, no, nigga, this shit's been.
Fuck you. This shit's in history.
This shit's in history. This is why sometimes where I'm like, hey, like I advocate
Wasn't it like Chandragupta? No, he united India. I forget who created Dharma.
Regardless.
Sorry.
Regardless, this is information that's obviously been through hundreds of years, and for people to be like,
maybe even 1,000 years.
Yeah, 1,000 years, whatever. But in my 20 years of experience, I think this is bullshit because I've done no research. Shut the fuck up and listen. All right. So, in the moment where people choose desires, whether that be I want to have a good car, I want to have, and by the way,
belt.
That's just for people that are like got a little tingle when they're like, ew, Dharma. Yeah, if you're like that, yeah, you know the vibes. But I want a good car, something that you can see. You see people, you see your friends being successful, and in that moment you're like, oh, I want to be like that. Someone in your field. You're like, you compare yourself. Any comparison, first of all, is your ego, which is bad.
Yep.
Which means anytime, which is a good thing I should actually say, is that when in moments where you're comparing yourselves to others, acknowledge that that's your ego and know that that's probably not positive. And whatever actions that result from that is going to be because of your ego. So when that happens, when you go, oh, this person's doing this, fuck that person, because you compare them to yourself and you have whatever negative reaction, which happens quite often.
Oh, it happens all the damn time.
All the time.
People love comparing themselves to other people.
That's what Instagram is. So when you're scrolling through Instagram and you see someone like, oh, I'm in Cabo, whatever it may be.
I'd like to be in Cabo.
Me too. Yeah. But the moment where you're like, hey, like, oh, maybe this person doesn't deserve this, or hey, I want that too. That's your ego.
Oh,
it happens, but it's like
it so does happen. You're like, you see somebody in like Prague or something, or like they're just like
chilling,
touring, and you're like, oh, just like fuck you.
Yeah, but
okay, real quick, I'm gonna be very non-specific here because I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but I know somebody that is close to me has a boss who recently got married and then went to Southeast Asia for their I'm not even gonna drop pronouns or gender pronouns. They got married and they went to Southeast Asia, and I know for a fact that said person is just like trust fund baby. And it's just like, fuck you, bitch ass. You haven't had to work for shit. Like, that. okay.
But
That's one thing that that grinds my gears. I don't know if it's just my own ego and me wanting to like not have to do any work for like just free shit.
it's definitely ego.
But it's like, like you suck. You suck. You don't deserve to go there. You didn't do shit to earn that. Like, just daddy had a cushy job and now you don't have to worry about anything for the rest of your fucking life.
But you know, one thing you have
That shit blows mine.
one thing you have over them is that the less people have to work for, the less excuses they have to make for when they're not doing shit. And I bet you, if they're not doing anything a year from now, they're gonna be depressed as fuck.
Well, no, I told you it's a close somebody close to me's boss.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
they have their own thing that they created this platform with
With the fun money.
Exactly. And so that's why it's like
But like that's
sorry guys, that was really loud.
But that's the ego.
Yeah.
Because in our minds we know that that'll never be us. We're different people. That's not our path. And it just can't be.
I really want to go to Southeast Asia at some point in my life. I hope I have the money to retire early or not necessarily retire early, but do something that's not super time consuming and that like I can still like do other shit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to work on in this podcast.
Yeah, but I mean,
Get that ad revenue.
but also this actually goes back to what I was talking about earlier in terms of desires. Like wanting to go somewhere is a desire. Wanting a new car is a desire. You know, comparing yourself to someone else and seeing, oh, this person is doing this, I want to do that. That's a desire. And the thing about desires is that for the moment that you have that comparison, you want that, but those desires are fleeting.
So, are you suggesting that I should not try and visit Europe this summer?
No, I'm not saying that you shouldn't try and visit Europe this summer, but I'm saying that you shouldn't use Europe as your goal for whatever you're doing now.
That's kind of what I've been doing.
Yeah, but essentially it'll make it harder because the moments where you're thinking about that is moments that are resulting from your ego or resulting from something physical that won't really last. It won't
Yeah.
It's not strong enough to make you deal with the uncomfortability of doing things to get to that point.
I got you.
And versus values, which obviously come from within and are very specific to who you are.
Real quick, I got to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
This just popped into my head. We got to do an entitlement pod.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my god. I think we could actually go for 2 hours on
Easily.
People who are entitled.
Easily.
But please continue.
Yeah.
It popped into my head. I wanted to get it out there.
Watch out for the entitlement pod.
Watch the fuck out for the entitlement pod. We will go off.
Oh, for sure.
We will go off.
But values are things that like come from things that you want to do, things that are like a goal that's higher, like a higher goal almost. Like if I'm putting in like, a main quest, like Lord of the Rings, Frodo has to go. Is it Frodo?
It is.
Frodo has to go with the ring, drop it into the fire.
With the Fellowship. And
With the Fellowship.
Not fire. It's the lava of Mount Doom. Thank you.
Yes, to stop the eye of Sauron, whatever. But,
Sauron.
But
Not to stop the Eye of Sauron, to stop Sauron and his orcs from conquering Middle-earth. But yes, please continue.
you got the specifics. Cool.
Yep.
Regardless, in that moment, in this journey, Frodo has to go through a lot of uncomfortable challenges to do this.
He gets fucked up.
He gets fucked up, but he knows his goal is like, if I do this, I'll be protecting my home. I'll be saving these people.
I'm actually going to tell you why this is a bad example.
Why? Go ahead.
Because throughout the entire thing, he's tempted by the rings, and many
No.
times he gives into temptation.
No, that's why this is a perfect example.
And
this is why this is a perfect
without
example.
the people around him, specifically Samwise Gamgee, he would not have been able to, spoiler alert, throw the ring into the lava of Mount Doom.
No, we're being Samwise right now, though. That's why this is an example.
Samwise Gamgee!
But, like,
My fucking guy.
it's hard. That's why it's hard, though, is because there are things that are going to be easier to give into temptation along that journey. And because he had the people around him to tell him that, this is also about surrounding yourself with positive people. But, because he had the people around him and because his goal was strong enough, he was able.
His resolve.
His creed or his value that he was looking for was strong enough. He was able to get through these challenges and accomplish his goal. However, if you're focused on desires, whose desires? Gollum.
Yeah.
Gollum. So if you're like, I want this. I want, the ring could be a car. The ring could be the house. The ring could be whatever. But if you want that, you're not planning for the long goal. You're not willing to go through the sacrifices to get something that matters. You just want the precious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
And because of it's a good show. It's a good show a good example. A good showing.
I was gonna say, don't you dare do that.
I've watched all 3 movies multiple times, but it's a good.
Apparently,
it's a good showing of this example. Well, when I was a kid.
There you go.
But because he never gets it, because that desire he comes close.
Actually,
and he does get it at certain points of time throughout the movies. I will say,
and he gets it at ironic points in the movies too.
Yeah,
when he's sinking into
the lava.
That's when it lands on his hand, and that's when you see the look of satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, you're in lava, dude.
Yeah, and it's like, what have you accomplished? At that moment, you've done all this stuff for this.
Lived for 500 years
for this car. What have you accomplished? That's why I think even though finding values is very hard, I don't know. The Mandalorian is a good example of someone who has a creed that lets him move forward through difficult situations.
This is the way.
This is the way. So you need to find your way. And a lot of people, for me, it's like I found that trying to expand people's perspectives and, really show how I think to the world is kind of like my way. And if I focus on that as my goal, because that's not about...
This is you personally.
This is me personally. Because there's no other... I can't really make any other example.
Yeah.
But, because it's different for everyone. But for me personally, that overarching goal of this is how I achieve my self-worth. This is not only just about me. I actually feel a sort of responsibility to do this. And because of that, it makes it a lot easier for me to actually go and do my work.
Yeah.
And,
but I feel like you personally are kind of one of the most meticulous isn't the right word, but whatever the combination of words mixes from meticulous and driven. Whatever that combination, whatever that middle ground is, that's where you are.
Yeah, but I'm doing this because I still struggle. I always know, even in this moment, that I could be doing so much more than I am at any given time, and I can see what I can do, but it's still not in my grasp, and I'm still trying to master my mind to figure out how I can be most efficient and how I can prepare myself to put myself in uncomfortable situations willingly for a better purpose, because I know I'll feel better. I know I'll feel better at the end of the day by putting myself in uncomfortable situations that lead to better outcomes. But it's hard for me to do it. And because of that, I only know about me. So it might not be hard for some of you listeners to do it. But I know for some of the people that I know, it's very hard to stay on track, especially if you have no sight of a goal. So that's why I kind of decided that this was something I wanted to talk about. And I kind of just wanted to leave you guys with 2 frameworks that are used to help think better, essentially. I don't know another way to say it. But I look up these sometimes. You can look them up like mental frameworks, mental models, just ways in which you can look at situations that makes it more objective and easier to understand. And it'll be pretty quick, whatever. Yeah. But
you
have something to say? Go ahead.
Well, are you all wrapped up? I don't want to.
Well, I was gonna say the 2 mental models, but it'll take some time. So go ahead if you have any.
Well, I was gonna talk about something outside of this topic.
Okay, so
we're kind of running over as well.
Yeah, we're running over. I'll wrap this up.
Yeah.
this is just something that I kind of prepared, and I want to just get everything out. Even though I said this is going to be a short pod, I guess isn't really a short pod.
Yeah, we're kind of we're kind of at regular time right now.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess I had something I need to get off my chest.
Yeah, you definitely carried this pod, but yeah, please wrap it up.
Yeah. The first mental model I'm going to talk about is second order thinking. And second order thinking is, I'm not sure if I've talked about this before. If I have,
Not specifically.
well, cool. Then thinking about consequences down the line rather than acting on like impulses or the immediate consequence of what you're doing. So this could be in a conversation where you say something and you're only thinking about the outcome that's going to happen now and not the response that's going to happen 10 minutes later or maybe 2 sentences later. And also, it's just that first order thinking is like quick, it's easy, and it feels good, but it's like it limits your vision on whatever you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, 'cause it's short term as fuck.
It's short term as fuck, so you're not achieving your goal, and it won't lead to your outcome because you're not thinking about your outcome.
No, you're thinking about like what feels good.
What feels good or what's good, what you want to say, you know? And second order thinking is thinking what happens second, third, fourth, fifth down the line.
Big brain plays.
Before you say something, before you do something. And there are going to be, and I stress this because in a lot of conflicts between people, because we all know that nobody knows how to deal with other people, unfortunately. But, you know, in moments of conflict, people usually resort to first order thinking.
Yep.
Their ego controls them.
Yep.
And they resort to first order thinking.
Emotional.
Yeah, though they might
We're
go.
not saying being emotional is bad. We're just saying using emotions to rule how you think isn't great.
Yeah, no, it's not good. We've talked about that before. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. But second order thinking is like, so to do this, I would like say like, you know, flow charts essentially. Flow chart your thoughts or your actions. You know, think what happens after. Think why am I doing this? You know, think through time. What happens 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour from now. And this is kind of goes contrary to what I say about living in the moment sometimes. But sometimes when you're in situations like that you need to plan to do things, you need to fucking plan. Or you're in a conversation where you can burn a bridge, or you want to get something done, but your emotions are controlling you. Take a step back. Think about. Breathe.
Get that oxygen into your brain, baby.
I'm an advocate for meditation, whatever it is. Think about what's going to happen second, third, fourth down the line, and then when you choose your best decision, then you can speak. There's nothing wrong with not talking sometimes or not acting if you're thinking about doing something else. That's the first model. The second model is called the map is not the territory. And I think I talked about this before, but if I haven't...
What, the third model, you mean?
Did I talk about 3?
You said first order.
Well, first order thinking and second order thinking is one model.
Okay.
First order thinking is acting on impulse. Second order thinking is thinking down the line.
Makes sense.
The map is not the territory is essentially the territory is reality or objective fact in whatever vein that you're working in or whatever the situation is. And the map is your interpretation of the territory. So your interpretation of what the facts are, what reality is, you know, whatever it is, that's your map.
I got you.
And a lot of the times people get the map confused with the territory, which means people think that their map, their interpretation of what's happening is the objective fact. And when you do that, you're essentially having a solution for something that's not the problem. And you won't get the right results.
Wrong puzzle piece type shit.
Exactly. You see this a lot in politics when people are like, you know, liberal, conservative, whatever, and they have some sort of whatever. They have some sort of solution. And
I'm
you're
invested, but I hate it.
Yeah, I'm also invested, and I kind of love it and hate it. I have a love-hate relationship with
It's like
it.
stinky cheese, you know.
Some good-ass gorgonzola.
It's like, yeah, it might taste really good, but damn, it smells.
Yeah, but getting, like in politics, when people have a solution for something, or they're like, hey, this is what it is, this is what reality is. What would an example be of someone that
Sorry, I just hit my mic.
it's easier to talk about the left because I'm around people that are on the left, and I'm also a lefty technically. But an example would be when people talk about privilege. You know, when people are like, "Hey,
We can't spend too much time on this because we could spend
No,
an
I'm only.
hour
It's
on
gonna.
it.
No, we've already talked about this, so it's only
Yeah.
gonna be 5 seconds. Like, you know,
We haven't
more
talked
than 5
about.
seconds.
We could have a privilege pod too.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
We could definitely do that.
Things
But
to
like,
think about.
when you're like, oh, all these people are privileged, and therefore these people need more help. You know, now, that's your map because that's your lived experience. That's whatever. Now, you have to acknowledge that someone else's map is not the same as your map, and your map is not reality. So, in the grand scheme of privilege or whatever, or benefits and negatives of whatever, identity, whatever it may be, you do not have an objective view. And the moment that you say that that your map is the objective view, you've lost. Because your solution is not going to be correct because you're viewing it from an incomplete standpoint.
Ignore Clinton noises. He's
Is the cat scratching?
Yes.
Hi, Clinton.
Hi, Clinton. That is secondary producer Clinton. Yeah.
We'll get a picture of him soon.
Yeah. Well, I'll get one.
Well, he's going fucking ham. But yeah, that's the map is not the territory. And in this conversation, I will say that the map, be conscious of what your map is. Whether for your goals especially, just be conscious that remember that you don't have all the information, and that your goal you have to recognize is based off your map.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty good wrapping up point.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate Cameron today because he definitely carried this podcast. Thank you, Cameron. The viewers and I appreciate you. Also, shout out to Cameron because he's wearing some Brooklyn Nets gear. Go Nets! N-E-T-S. Nets,
Shout out
Nets,
to the
Nets. Love you guys. And again, KD, I'm trying to buy your shoes tonight. I hope that... I've never bought shoes at a drop. So we're going to see kind of what happens. I don't know if there's a queue I have to wait in or what, but I really want these shoes.
Sounds fun.
They kind of remind me of like laser tag floor. That's honestly what it's like. Some exciting things. We got our first DM. I'm not going to read it out because I don't think that would be very nice, but I wanted to thank people who are reaching out to us. Thanks for checking us out. We appreciate it.
Cool.
Yeah. You got any shout outs today?
I already made my shout out, I think, earlier. So yeah, I don't think so. I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
Shout outs to meditation.
Shout outs to meditation. Shout out to Snakebone. He does some dope art. We're gonna have some fun stuff coming up. We're gonna have some stickers made soon.
Yeah.
Are those? Have you had a chance to ink those yet, or is school just
Half
been
ink.
half ink? All right, awesome. So by the time this pod comes out, probably 2 Thursdays from now, one Thursday, Thursday after next.
I should be done by
they should be out. So by the time you are listening to this, you might have a sticker in your possession or on your way. We'll find out. That is it from me. I am Colin at Colin Hammingson on Instagram.
I am Cameron, Stoic Lotus, at Stoic Lotus on Instagram.
Please check us out on Instagram, plan_C_podcast. Same thing on Twitter. Check out our Patreon. We appreciate anything we can get. I know we plug it a lot, but we have 0 Patreons and... Patrons? I thought it was Patreons.
Well, I think it's patrons.
Patrons?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, whatever. So, yeah, we're just, any money that is put into this show, whether it's through listening to our ads or through our Patreon, it's gonna go back into the show. Like, it is. Our mics, one of our mic stands with our one nice mic is being held together with tape, literal tape. So, and again, we do this in my mother's basement, Studio 66, so, as we call it. So it's not like we're, a big show.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. Happy Friday. I know it'll come out on Thursday, but most people listen on Friday. Thank you guys so much. We love you. We appreciate you. See you next time, Plant Seers.
See you guys.